Welcome to episode 8 of Pink and Classics as we take you back to 2015 and that glorious May Bank Holiday Monday when Norwich City sealed promotion to the Premier League at Wembley. I'm Dave Freezer, and joining us today is the EDP's head of sport, Chris Lakey, and our columnists, Ian Clark and David Hannant. But first, let me set the scene. Alex Neil had arrived from Hamilton in January following the resignation of Neil Adams, with City 7th in the table and only 3 points outside of the playoff places after a strong start to the season had tailed off. A brilliant 15 wins in 22 games took City to third place and the playoffs, only 3 points short of automatic promotion. Ipswich were brushed aside with a 4-2 win over the two legs of the semi-finals, and then it was on to Wembley for the first time since 1985 and for the first time since the stadium had been rebuilt. And as 35,000 City fans prepared to descend on the capital, there was a rather decent warm-up party to enjoy over the weekend, which you may well remember as well. Radio 1's big weekend was at Earlham Park, which saw Muse, Taylor Swift, Foo Fighters, some of the world's top music acts, including, of course, Snoop Dogg wearing a Norwich City shirt ahead of that big day. Chats were Chris. I can tell that was all your favourite.
Just a Snoop Dogg fan.
Yeah,
big Snoop Dogg fan.
The Bonzo Dog I've heard of.
You've not heard of Snoop Dogg?
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
Have. I wouldn't
He's a
be
cat man.
able to name one of it. He does sing, does he, or talk? I wouldn't be able to name any of his works of art.
Hit raps, gin and juice. So that's probably the big one. But let's not go there. Did any of you guys go to? I was there on the Sunday. I saw Foo Fighters that day. Did any of the rest of you go?
I was there both days. Yeah, I was actually news editor from Earlham Park, and it was just a crazy couple of days, and just a very brief Snoop Dogg story. So there was lots going on anyway, and then somebody said Snoop Dogg's turned up in a Norwich shirt, and as soon as we got that story online, the number of views when that was shared just went. I mean, the analytics just went like that on our graph. It was incredible. It was the best read story. Forget Foo Fighters, forget Muse, forget Taylor. That was what everyone was reading over the weekend. So no, it was. You're absolutely right. It was an incredible warm up act before that Monday morning when we all set off.
That wearing that very shirt that you're wearing, I think.
I was wearing that very shirt. Yeah, on a Derham coach driven by none other than Mr. Tim, driver Tim Johnson. Yeah, so it was a real party bus. Actually, it was fantastic.
Dave, did you go?
I didn't manage to go to no, not to one day weekend, but I did see some live music the day before though. I ended up my brother lives in London, and there's a singer-songwriter I'm a big fan of called David Ford. He happened to be playing a concert in London the night before. Like a one-man band type show, and I can't even remember where it was, but ended up going along, and so I wasn't watching Foo Fighters in Earlham Park, but I was watching David Ford in a tiny place in London, and it was brilliant. So that was my pre-match live music. And I was really up in London for the match the following day.
Well, I had to leave early during Foo Fighters, knowing that I had a very early start, of course. I think we left about 5 in the morning, me and Pete Walsh, our news reporter, who came down for the day to do various bits and pieces. We picked up Gavin Caney when he was still part of our sports desk in Thetford, and then on to London to meet up with Paddy and Michael. And so I had to walk away from Earlham Park while My Hero by Foo Fighters was playing, and it was kind of epic in a way because I could hear it all as I started walking back into the city centre, but also was quite disappointing that such a major band were in the city who I'm a big fan of, and I was having to leave halfway through. But we had a rather long day ahead of us, so and it worked out pretty well. Right, for you guys watching, if you're watching on YouTube, the link to the video is in the description below, so you can pause us for a few seconds and open that video in a separate tab and watch along with us if you'd like. If you're not watching through YouTube, then open up a new tab, go to YouTube, and spoiler alert, search for playoff final highlights, Norwich City 2, Middlesbrough 0.
Ruined it, Dave.
It's 6 minutes and 38 minutes long. It's on the City's official YouTube channel. Hopefully you've all got that sorted now. So I'll count us all in from 3. And 3, 2, 1, and play. Right. I'll just turn my volume down a bit. But yes, Middlesbrough, of course, come to Carrow Road and won 2-0 in a game which basically decided automatic promotion, if you remember that, Chris, a few weeks before.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear that. I'm so spotty.
Middlesbrough had come to Carrow Road and won, 1-0 at Carrow Road a few weeks before, and that was basically the battle for second place, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sort of decided that City would. It didn't decide, but it went a long way to decide that City were in this the playoffs. Obviously, they got through against you know who. But yeah, that was quite telling, that game. And this game, compare the tactics. Alex Neil learnt so much from that defeat.
He did.
It was a masterclass, this game. Absolutely.
As you can see from Ruffs there, they're fired up. They're desperate for it. I mean,
that game played it so well, so smart.
Dave, that period under Alex Neil, the impact he made, it was pretty sensational, wasn't it?
It really was, yeah. He kind of came in and, I remember no one really knew anything about him.
Oh, Cantona!
But, he
it was just like the Cantona shot, wasn't it? The goal.
Grabbed the season by the scruff of the neck, didn't he?
Well, all this that we've got unfolding here, Bradley Johnson hits the bar, and now Boro, of course, go down the other end and do likewise.
Yeah.
This was the most amazing couple of minutes of football.
This
was a great bit of football down here on the left.
I remember being in the Wembley press box and just being like, what is going on? This game is mad. What is this doing here?
It was like a catapult, wasn't it? And someone who had just before kickoff had just pulled it and just went bang. And obviously, like you said at the outset, Dave, 30 years since we've been to Wembley, and so much excitement, so much anticipation, and people just couldn't believe what was going on. It was amazing.
That was probably the best football that Middlesbrough. That sequence there was the only kind of played more football there than they did in the entire 90 minutes at Carrow Road, which was just shocking.
Here we go. Definitely not a foul. Poor old Danny
challenged him though, didn't he? Now look, I think this is the goal. If you look at the bit of celebrity spotting behind Alex Neil, it's either this or the other goal. It's a rather famous face sitting behind him. Not him.
Right.
Sorry, I'm
he's famous now.
It's probably the second goal. This is great by Jerome, though.
Yeah, brilliant.
Just, playing that lone role. It's not a foul at all.
No. Well, I think he's lucky to get away with it, but it probably isn't.
First the goalkeeper's had a bit of a mess.
I just think it was really good, strong. The defender should be ashamed of himself for being knocked off the ball like that.
Yeah, but he doesn't touch the ball, does he? He just kicks him in the back of the shins.
Strong forward play, Dave.
Contact sport, Dave. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I was there. One of the great parts of the day for me was I was there with my mum and my son. Neither of them had been to Wembley before, so the hugs there were after that first goal with 2 or 3 generations of the family was really, really special.
Who was the celebrity then, Chris?
That was Darren Cann.
Ah, right, yeah, the linesman from Norfolk.
Yeah, the one of the best linesmen in the World Cup final linesman.
Yeah, with Howard Webb. Yeah, a banker in Dis, isn't he?
He was. I think you'll find him full-time football official.
Well, I suppose he is.
Very good too.
Here we go. Martin Olsen wins
the hunger and just the way we were just knocking them off the ball, and
this was beautiful football, wasn't it?
What does it end up being? Is it 36 passes or something along those lines? They just from Olsen winning that ball in left back, they keep the. It might even be 46. I'd have to double check that one. But
how good was Steve Whittaker? One of the best games I've ever seen him play in a City shirt.
Yeah, he did, and him and Redmond here for this moment that's about to come up.
It's a great take.
Finish, son.
But there's poor defending. There's no one within a bull's roar of him. Just to emphasise as well, that goal's in the 15th minute. Yeah. All of this is happening. That's basically the highlights for the game done. First 15 minutes. And I was sat alongside Gavin Caney and in the press box, and I just turned to Gavin. I was like, "What is going on? This is ridiculous." They were. But that's what Alex Neil had said, that they had to start quickly because they knew from the previous game a few weeks earlier that Middlesbrough would.
Yeah.
So they basically played them at their own game, and then for the remaining 75 minutes, I wouldn't say outplayed them, but just contained them.
Yeah, I think containment's the word, Chris. I think it was just that really professional.
But they stopped Middlesbrough getting back into the game. Tactically, I thought on the day I didn't go. I was in the office. I remember watching it and thinking it was absolutely superb. What a performance!
I think it was going to be settled on the first goal, wasn't it? I think you saw from the game away at home to Middlesbrough, like I kind of remember saying it, like people trying to predict what the score is. Like, I'll tell you who'll win when the first goal goes in. And I was just thinking whoever was going to get it. If City were going to get it, you'd see us pressing on and win it. If Middlesbrough got that first goal, that would have been cut.
Well, there's one that I've forgotten.
Earlier, there was one thing that Middlesbrough team was good at. It was closing out a game and just playing non-football. They would have just put, if they'd have got that first goal, they would have put
there it is.
That's been Middlesbrough ever since day one that I ever saw them. They've always been that sort of team.
Look at that yellow. That's what will always stick with me. There was a part of me at Wembley, you know, I was so privileged to be there working, but there was a part of me knowing all of my friends and family were in that yellow wave and wanting to be part of it, really. But just to see it from where we were in the press box was a heck of a sight. I think one thing that maybe a lot of people who were at the game didn't necessarily realise is how late Middlesbrough had turned up to the game because they got stuck in traffic. I think that caused them problems. And Norwich, I think, smelt blood a bit when that started. And of course, you saw Alex Neil at the start. He wore his suit for the preamble, but then he was back in his tracksuit because that's what he loved to do.
That's what Superman did, didn't he? Just ripped off the suit.
Yeah, I'm sure Alex would go along with that. But yeah, on the day, just the memories of the celebration. Dave, if I come to you first, how did it feel to celebrate a Wembley playoff final victory? Because for us as reporters, it was absolutely bonkers after the game. I'll come back to that in a little bit, but we worked for many, many hours afterwards. And I'd been at Cardiff for the playoff final in 2002 and obviously remembered the pain of the penalty shootout defeat to Birmingham, but still it being an absolutely sort of amazing spectacle and stuff. How did it feel to be in middle of celebrations like that?
I mean, it was incredible. The roar, the noise of it is kind of unlike anything I'd really seen. But I was kind of a little bit in the same boat as you in case I was at the time I was volunteering for Future Radio and had a little Zoom recorder in my pocket and said that on the way out I'll grab a few Vox Pops or whatever. And I was doing a show the following day, so I was kind of also I wasn't obviously like yourselves getting mixed in with speaking to players and trying to get Wes Houlihan not to swear and that kind of thing. But there was a little element of that, but it was still kind of, I don't think I'm ever going to forget having so many yellow shirts around me and the roar, particularly when those first two goals went in. It's just the minute that first goal went in, I wasn't nervous anymore. And it was, I'm not ever going to forget that day.
Clarky, how was the hangover the next morning?
Well, yeah, we had a couple on the way home. Actually, one thing about the way home was on the bus, we heard that my great niece was born. My sister didn't come to the game; she had a ticket, but her daughter was pregnant. All big Norwich, the whole family big Norwich fans. So as we were travelling back, I think we sort of just got on the M11 and got a call from my sister to say that Elsie had been born. So in terms of celebrations to sort of finish the day off, that was incredible. Obviously, she's got her 5th birthday on Monday. 5 years since that day. But I mean, it had been 30 years since that Milk Cup final. I was 15 then, and that was an incredible experience at the age of 15. But when you're then 45 and you're there with your family and loads of mates, and just that whole, I know that the Norwich City family is a bit of a cliche, but like you said, when there's 30-odd thousand fans all just so up for it, so excited, so pumped, and just thinking this day, I kept saying to my son, just keep remembering what's happening here, soak up every minute, and just enjoy all the aspects of it, almost whatever the result. And clearly, when the result went the right way, it was just one of those experiences that we'll never forget as football fans.
I've got a lot of those papers still tucked away. We worked long and hard the rest of the day, didn't we, Chris? I guess you and Mark Armstrong were in the office, weren't you? Me, Michael, Paddy, and Gab were working away from what ended up being the Hilton Hotel opposite Wembley, which we didn't know, but it was where the players were staying. Paddy's girlfriend, now wife, had camped up in the bar there and said, I reckon I found a little space where you guys can keep working. Because ridiculously, I think it was 2 hours after the game, despite the fact that we'd basically spent an hour and a half in the mix zone interviewing everybody. I spoke to Delia, Alan Bowkett, Cameron Jerome, John Ruddy, just everyone. We were so busy for that time. Everybody was happy to speak, as you can imagine. And we end up pitching up on this balcony as it got darker and darker, just working away on our laptops. She was occasionally bringing us a bowl of chips or a pint just to keep us going. And then the after party of the Norwich players starts right on our doorstep, right in the room inside next to where we're working. And you've got, Russ Martin and Bradley Johnson popping out saying, "Are you coming for a beer, lads?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'd really like to, but we've got a 32-page supplement to fill." So it was rather memorable. But then I really put the cherry on top of the cake, didn't I, Chris, by moving house on Tuesday morning. So got home about 3 a.m, and then up early, moved house, moved in with my girlfriend, and thanks to her parents doing a lot of the hard work, I was back in the office at 2:00 doing another lengthy stint writing up a load of quotes. So it was brilliant, but it was some hard work, wasn't it, Chris?
I do. Funnily enough, I'd forgotten about the Hilton Hotel, but now I do remember it. Yeah, and I think Annabelle facilitated it, didn't she?
Oh yeah, she really helped us out.
Yeah, so because these football grounds don't understand. They have beautiful media facilities at Wembley. They don't understand journalists. They think, final whistle, off you go. I think we have a few colleagues who think of that as well sometimes. Can I just point out, Nathan and Redmond had said before the game that they felt, him and Wes felt they could make hay because it was such a big pitch, which makes you wonder why Middlesbrough picked Tomlin, who is about as fit as I am and as mobile as I am. Well, I've got to say, his first touch is a lot better. And I noticed also, I'd forgotten about the wonderful striker, James Bamford.
Patrick Bamford, yeah.
James Bamford. Who was James Bamford?
That was when he's on loan from Chelsea, wasn't he? He did really well that season.
Patrick Bamford, yeah, the kid, I think, as he's now known.
Stuart Webber's mate.
Yeah, that kid, the lad. Yeah, didn't do much, did he?
No, he's not too popular at the moment. But,
Norwich were a very, very athletic team, weren't they? That they're full of very fit players, but very talented. That's got to go down as a magnificent team.
Oh, a day that
Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I've got it on replay. Nathan Redmond's just scored.
Yeah, a big pitch is always going to favour a passing team anyway, because you can make the ball do the moving. And Middlesbrough, as I've kind of said a few times, that like I'm still raging about that game, so I'm going to dig at them at any opportunity I can take. They weren't a footballing side. They were very physical. They're good at that element of the game. But in terms of beautiful football, they weren't in our league at all.
They were a good team, but they weren't as good as that Norwich team, who were literally an example of once a manager comes in and confidence build, they were just untouchable at that point, and they nailed it, didn't they? So
the day that all the aspects of the Norwich team came perfectly together on one day, didn't they? And you mentioned physicality, and what an irony that it was Jerome's real physicality that got that first goal, that really set the tempo and just put us on that footing, which then led to the second goal. And we all know what happened from there.
And it also shouldn't be forgotten, Alex Neil, 4 months earlier, manager of Hamilton. No disrespect to Hamilton, but then look at that pitch and the crowd, 40,000 Norwich fans. And that's incredible. And a year to the day that he won the playoffs with Hamilton.
Yeah, they nailed it, didn't they? That was still McNally's appointment, wasn't it? He was
David
the one who
McNally spotted him, and great credit there. But to take that team to that record you'd mentioned before, 15 wins, was it?
15 and 22.
4 months is ludicrous, really, for a very, very inexperienced manager.
I might be wrong about this, but I don't think he lost an away game that season.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. It was so good that we've all even forgotten that Lewis Grabban was there, and he cleared one off the line.
He did. From Ayala,
yeah.
Dave, one question I must ask. You mentioned Pete Walsh earlier on. Now, all of us in this chat know and love Walshy dearly. Lots of people watching will know Walshy from down the years with us. Can I just briefly ask where he was at this time?
outside in the car, worried about where he's going to park it.
Walshy, I think, missed. I think he was planning to get the train back, and he'd missed it, and he couldn't make up his mind whether to leave us and try and catch a train, and his sort of uncertainty ended up leaving him stranded with us on this balcony of the Hilton. But he'd done all his work. There wasn't really much he could do to help us. So he basically sat around for about 3 or 4 hours getting some angry phone calls from his wife saying, "Where are you?" Because I think she was pregnant at the time. I think she was quite heavily pregnant.
This is standard Walshy.
Yeah, it's classic Walshy, isn't it? But we managed it, and it was a great day. One of my sort of favourite keepsakes actually is one of my jobs on the day was to file on the whistle a very brief, I think it was 150 words for the front page of a special evening news, which literally was printed as swiftly after the game as possible. So that it was in newsagents that afternoon, a special edition evening news. And thankfully, with the way the game went, with no late drama, that was pretty straightforward, really. But that was a nice keepsake, and I'm sure we got plenty of them. Right, thank you very much, chaps. We'll wrap it there.
Cheers, brilliant.
Really enjoyed reliving that. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. Feel free to leave us a comment on YouTube below with your favourite memories of the day. But for now, stay safe, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Cheers, everyone.